Hi. It's Lesbian Visibility Week, can you tell? I dyed my hair blue as well. You can't really see it super well. That's also not helping a whole lot. And I got a new highlighter as well. It's the Rare Beauty. Like, I don't know, I've just been loving getting back into makeup. But anyways, today's video is about when you feel like you're behind in life. So feeling behind in life is something I felt so much as I was growing up. I think especially when you're in high school, there's things like you feel behind if you haven't had your first kiss, or if you've never like done drugs or smoked or had alcohol, and then when you get a bit older, or even I think some people probably deal with this in high school as well, but like if you haven't had sex yet, there's this pressure to like have all these experiences as soon as possible, otherwise you're behind. And I feel like as someone who definitely felt like a loser growing up, I've talked about this in another video, so I'm not going to go into it, but it's a feeling I'm very familiar with, and this is just something that I wish someone had said to me when I was younger, because I definitely rushed myself into having my first kiss with a boy I didn't like, and or like losing my virginity like first week of college to a guy who, again, I didn't like. And yes, I am a lesbian, so anyway. But even with that, there's like this pressure to like come out as soon as possible, or like be open about who you are. And I just feel like in so many areas of life, because this goes for career and like education stuff as well, there's this feeling like if you're not doing the absolute most, or if your experience doesn't look like someone else's, you're behind. And I really feel like it couldn't be further from the truth. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that to anyone who relates and who feels like they're behind, because you're not. I have my notes on here, but just talking a little bit more about like career, I feel like especially with the internet, there's this feeling that if you haven't made it by like 18 or 21, or if you haven't had your big break, if you want to work in entertainment or something, like I do, at such a young age, you feel like I'm just behind, like there's not even a point in trying because I'll never be as good as fast. And I really feel like these fears of being behind hold us back so much, because there is no such thing as behind. But when you have this illusion that what you're doing is not enough, it's so easy to just give up, as opposed to continuing to work towards your goals. I just said like continuing to work towards. Anyway, continuing to work towards your goals and meet them whenever you meet them. You know what I mean? I remember someone telling me that like most filmmakers have their big break at like age 38 or something, or in their 40s. And that was just so comforting to me, because it's so easy to feel like because you haven't had like, because I'm not on SNL right now at age 21, that I'll never amount to anything. It's just not true. Like, it sounds ridiculous when you say it, but I think this video is primarily about stuff like kissing or having sex or doing drugs, partying, whatever. I felt so much pressure to have my first kiss at age 16, and it was the summer where I was going to be turning 17 at the end of the summer, and I was like, I have to have my first kiss with someone, like anyone, before I turn 17, because I cannot be 17 and never have my first kiss. I should have waited because I like kind of rushed myself into a relationship. It was also tough because I wasn't out yet, and I kind of felt like, oh, this person likes me, so I should like them, and everyone's saying we should date, so I guess we're dating. Anyway, and I just felt like I have to have my first kiss before I turn 17. And it's so ridiculous looking back on it, because like all my friends who waited to kiss or have sex or whatever, like I have friends who still haven't, and like it doesn't matter. Like I don't know, like there's just such a idea when you're growing up that if you haven't had these experiences, there's something wrong with you, and it's really just completely false. And then I won't go too much into detail, but I lost my virginity when I was 18, the first week of college, and I wish for really every intimate experience that I have for the first time, whether it was the first person I was dating or my first kiss or whatever, I really should have waited, because the feeling like I was behind and like I had to have these experiences now, or there was something wrong with me, pushed me to have those experiences before I was fully ready, or with people that I really wanted to have those experiences with. You know, and I think I mean, conversely, there's this idea that like your first kiss, the first time you have sex, whatever, his first boyfriend, it's gonna be magical, and like just wait for the right person. And I think no matter who you have those first experiences with, it is so rarely magical. And I don't know if I'm just saying that because the first time, like my first time for like everything, it was always with a boy, and I didn't want to be with boys, so maybe that's why the magic was lacking. But I mean, like, even my first time of everything with a girl wasn't perfect, you know what I mean? Like, it was better because it was with someone that I really wanted to be with and that I was stoked about and really attracted to. But like, I don't know, there's just this idea that the first time should be magical, and it, first of all, doesn't matter when you have your first time, but also don't put so much pressure on it to be perfect, you know what I mean? Because like, it's so rarely gonna be the case. And even though I wish I had waited until I was more ready, I know that like, no matter how long I waited, like the first time is always gonna be kind of awkward, you know? Going back to why I wish that I had waited is I felt so much pressure to get it done immediately and to do what other people were doing, and people were saying like, oh, college is the time to play the field, like that's when you should be talking to as many boys as possible, and there's hookup culture. And I kind of just rushed my way into things that don't really align with what makes me feel good. Like, hookup culture makes me feel so empty, and I don't like casual sex, I don't like one night stands, like I've done it all, and I don't, it doesn't feel good to me. And there's nothing wrong with anyone for whom that does feel good, but it wasn't for me. But it felt like that's what everyone's doing, so that's what I should do too. And there's this kind of sense of betrayal to yourself when you judge what you should be doing and what you want to be doing based on what other people are doing, because you can kind of let your own needs and your own feelings take a back seat for the sake of having this experience that you're really having just to have it. And I think, like, looking back on it, I would have liked to have those experiences with people that I was really in love with, or that I really liked or was attracted to, or someone who didn't make me feel bad. And again, it's not always going to be amazing just because you wait, but I really, when I talk to anyone who hasn't had these experiences yet, like people in college that I'm friends with, I just like cannot emphasize enough that like, wait until you feel ready, wait until you want to do it, wait until however long, or never do it, you know what I mean? Because if I could go back in time, I would take back those experiences that I had and save them for when it really aligned with what I wanted. And like, I remember a time in early on in college, I was talking to like 8 guys, because that's what everyone did. It was like, you should be Snapchatting like as many guys as possible and kind of like stringing them along, like maybe being a little flirty just to keep your options open. And it's about like playing the field, like you can have sex with anyone you want, like you can be casual about it, like there are no rules. And I kind of just was like, okay, that's what you do in college, so that's what I did. And I felt so horrible while I was doing it. And again, this is not a commentary on hookup culture, because there's people who love it, there's people for whom it works really well, and sometimes people make blanket statements like hookup culture is bad for women. And even though it was bad for me, and I think it is for a lot of women, I'm sure there's also a lot of guys who it's also bad for. And I'm not here to make any like big statement. Oh, I have to burp. Ugh. Sorry. But basically, I just make this video because at the end of the day, there is no race to have any of these experiences. There is no award for having it as soon as possible. And I think when you rush into something before you're really ready, it actually makes you like more likely to have a negative experience, because it's not something that you truly wanted. And so what I really want to say is like, act in a way that's true to how you want to live your life. I think there's so much freedom in realizing that just because other people are doing something doesn't mean you have to do that too, or just because some people are on one certain timeline doesn't mean you have to be following the same one. Like, it's completely arbitrary. And I think just go at a pace with everything that like feels good to you. Don't feel pressured. Don't let people be like, oh, this guy likes you, so you should go out with him, or like, oh, like everyone is coming out at a young age, so you shouldn't be in the closet in 2023. Like, I don't know, there's just so many like expectations around when you should have your first experience with everything. I think it's an act of self-care, self-preservation, self-love to get rid of any expectations about a timeline that you should be on, and just kind of realize that you can do things whenever you want, and it doesn't have to be now, and when it does happen, it doesn't have to be amazing. And I just want everyone to know that like you're not behind in life just because you haven't done things that they're doing on TV or that it feels like everyone around you is doing. And it's like more than okay to wait to have any of these experiences, to choose to never have these experiences, to wait until you're in love, to wait until, you know, you're ready, or like to have sex casually. Like, it's all fine, you know what I mean? As long as both parties are down, there's really not a wrong way to do any of it. And I just don't want anyone to feel like they need to rush to have these experiences, because I think I definitely struggled with that. But yeah, so that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and happy lesbian happy lesbian visibility week. Damn. And I know this is gonna go up in like a few weeks, so it won't be anymore, but